Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer, one people, one realm, one leader was a core Nazi slogan portraying Adolf Hitler as the living embodiment of the German nation. First popularized at the 34 Nuremberg rally, it promoted unity between people, state and leader, and framed Hitler as Germany's savior and father figure. The message propagated national unity under his rule, reinforced his personality cult, and was used heavily before the 38 reunion with Austria. It also anchored the Führer Prinzip, where Hitler's authority stood above all laws and gave him totalitarian power. His word defined policy, and all officials were expected to carry out his will. Power flowed in a strict hierarchy, with each subordinate fully accountable to their superior. This system extended across civil society, factories and schools where an appointed leader took decisions. The military swore loyalty directly to Hitler instead of the constitution. Rudolf Hess said in 34, Hitler was always right and will always be right. The slogan was widely used on posters and propaganda, often alongside Hitler's image to present him as an infallible, almost messianic figure. Meine Ehre heißt Treue, my honor is loyalty, was the motto of the Schutzstaffel, the SS, the Nazi Party's paramilitary organization that operated as a military and policing force besides the regular army. The slogan expressed absolute loyalty to Hitler as the highest virtue. The phrase came from a 1930 conflict between the Sturmabteilung, the SA, the older OG paramilitary force, and the SS in Berlin, when SA members, led by Walter Stennes, attacked Nazi Party offices in a revolt against Hitler. SS men under Kurt Dahlüge tried to resist but were beaten. After the revolt was resolved peacefully, Hitler praised their loyalty in a letter, writing, SS-Mann, deine Ehre heißt Treue. Reichsführer SS Himmler later adopted the modified version as the motto for his organization. It was engraved on every SS belt buckle, dagger and sword, and also used in the Norwegian, Dutch and Danish Waffen-SS units in translated forms. After the war, the slogan and its variants were banned in Germany and Austria. Gott mit uns, God is with us, was a slogan worn by German Wehrmacht and Kriegsmarine soldiers on belt buckles during World War II, symbolizing divine support for their actions and unifying troops under a shared belief. American troops were surprised to find this saying on the enemy's belt buckles, as they believed Nazis were totally godless. The phrase was first used by the Teutonic Order as a battle cry during their crusades. The slogan was inherited by the state of Prussia, which grew out of the Teutonic Order's territory. It appeared on royal symbols under Frederick I of Prussia, on military honors, coins, and the imperial standard after German unification in 1871. German soldiers had already worn it in World War I, where British troops joked about it in the trenches, showing signs reading, "We've got middens too." After World War II, the German military stopped using the slogan, though West German police kept it until the 1970s. Die Juden sind unser Unglück, the Jews are our misfortune, was a central anti-Semitic Nazi slogan, spread through the weekly paper Der Stürmer, published by Julius Streicher. It appeared in huge letters on the front page and billboards. The paper was not an official Nazi Party publication, unlike the Völkischer Beobachter, and was known for crude content, including conspiracy claims, extreme caricatures, and explicit propaganda. Streicher openly called for the extermination of Jews as early as 1933. His style embarrassed parts of the regime, leading to restrictions and opposition from figures like Josef Goebbels, Hermann Göring, and Baldur von Schirach. However, others, including Himmler and Robert Ley, supported it, and Hitler considered it effective propaganda. The slogan promoted the theory that Jews were responsible for Germany's problems and directly incited violence. After the war, Streicher was convicted of crimes against humanity at the Nuremberg trials and hanged. The phrase itself dates back to historian Heinrich von Treitschke in 1879. Today, its use is banned in Germany. Sieg Heil, Hail Victory, was a Nazi chant used to pledge loyalty to Hitler, often combined with the Nazi salute. It was mainly shouted at mass rallies, where a leader or the speaker called Sieg, and the crowd responded Heil 3 times, expressing devotion and belief in victory. It was also used to end every speech, letter, and official document. Together with Heil Hitler, it became a standard greeting and a key part of Hitler's personality cult. At events like the 34 Nuremberg rally, speakers like Rudolf Hess used it to rally crowds and said, "The party is Hitler, but Hitler is Germany, just as Germany is Hitler. Sieg Heil." Today, the phrase is recognized as a hate symbol and is banned in countries like Germany and Austria. Blut und Boden, blood and soil, was a core Nazi ideology and slogan linking race, blood, to homeland, claiming Germans were naturally bound to their land. Popularized by Richard Walter Darré, it shaped agricultural policy and urged a re-adoption of rural values. It idealized countryside living, portraying peasants as the pure racial core of the nation while condemning cities as corrupt, unhealthy, and influenced by Jews. Farming families were glorified as the symbol of racially pure Germanness, and policies like the 33 Reich hereditary farm law tied land permanently to family lines to preserve racial purity. Women were idealized as rural workers who bear strong children. The slogan promoted a return to the countryside, though practical results were limited, since Prussian nobility in the east opposed the sent settlers. It also fed into expansionist goals like Lebensraum, where eastern lands were to be settled by German soldier peasants, transforming them into breadbaskets for the nation and a bulwark against attacks. Blut und Ehre, blood and honor, was the motto of the Hitler Youth, shaped by Alfred Rosenberg, and central to Nazi racial ideology. It came from völkisch ideas, and was defined in his work The Myth of the 20th Century as expressing the Nordic Germanic spirit. Blood referred to the idea of racial unity and purity, while honor meant loyalty to Hitler and the Nazi state, including readiness to sacrifice yourself. It appeared widely in Hitler Youth culture, engraved on hiking knives and belt buckles, used as a songbook title and in propaganda collections by Rosenberg. Today, its use in Germany is illegal and it has been adopted in translation by neo-Nazi groups. The slogan Arbeit, macht, frei, work sets you free, originated from an 1873 novel by German nationalist Lorenz Diefenbach and was later initially used by the Nazis in programs to combat mass unemployment. But after World War II, it became known for its placement in large iron letters above the entrances of concentration camps like Auschwitz or Dachau. In this context, the phrase was a cynical deception and taunt, masking forced labor, exploitation, humiliation, and murder. It falsely suggested moral re-education, while in reality many camps functioned through destruction by labor. Its use as a camp slogan is linked to SS General Theodor Eicke. Other slogans reinforced this system, including one on the Sachsenhausen or Neuengamme gates by Heinrich Himmler saying, "There is a path to freedom. Its milestones are obedience, diligence, honesty, order, cleanliness, sobriety, truthfulness, self-sacrifice, and love of the fatherland." While most camps used Arbeit macht frei, the Buchenwald concentration camp gate instead displayed jedem das Seine, to each his own, directed inward at prisoners, implying everyone gets what he deserves. Endsieg, final victory, was one of the most repeated Nazi propaganda terms during World War II, especially from 1943 onward, when the war turned against Germany. It promised a decisive victory over the Allies and was meant to maintain morale, justify continued fighting, and enforce belief in inevitable success despite growing losses. It was featured prominently in the official Slogan of the Week poster series, with lines like "Unaufhaltsam vorwärts bis zum Endsieg," unstoppably forward until final victory. This made it a constant visual presence across the Reich. Propaganda claimed final victory would come through extreme sacrifice, wonder weapons, U-boat success, Japanese support, and a hoped-for split among the Allies. The term also appeared in speeches, media, even death notices claiming fallen soldiers believed in final victory. Doubt about the Endsieg was treated as defeatism and punished by death under military law. Joseph Goebbels still spoke about Endsieg as late as April 1945. Achtung, der Feind hört mit. Beware, the enemy is listening was a major Nazi propaganda slogan widely used from 1940 to 45 in different forms. It appeared across everyday items like matchboxes, newspapers, restaurant windows, or big public posters to push constant caution. Posters reading "Shame on you, chatterbox. Silence is your duty" were plastered everywhere. The slogan urged total secrecy, warning civilians not to discuss sensitive information such as troop movements or production, as it could reach spies. Campaigns by the propaganda ministry portrayed a shadowy enemy listening everywhere, encouraging self-censorship and fear of careless talk. It helped mobilize civilians as part of the home front, making individuals feel responsible for the war effort. At the same time, it created distrust and paranoia. It also discouraged listening to foreign radio, which was banned and punishable by law. Deutschland, erwache, Germany awake was a key Nazi slogan and song from the early NSDAP period, used to rally support during the Weimar era. It called on Germans to rise against the Weimar Republic, the Treaty of Versailles, and alleged internal enemies, especially Jews. The phrase came from the 1922 Sturmlied, the anthem of the SA written by Dietrich Eckart, which was regularly presented at the end of larger party meetings. It portrayed Germany as a sleeping nation that must awaken, take revenge and fight threats, using symbolism like Judas as a traitor figure. The slogan became closely tied to the SA, appearing on their flags and serving as a call for revolution and the creation of a National Socialist People's Community. It evolved into a central chant of the movement and was widely used in propaganda, shouted during torchlight parades, street fights and mass meetings. Today, its use is illegal in Germany. Alles für Deutschland, everything for Germany, originated in 1848 from a proclamation by King Ludwig I of Bavaria, when he said, Alles für mein Volk, alles für Deutschland. It was later used by the Social Democrats, the National Conservatives and the Center Party, before being adopted by the Nazis. Under National Socialism, it became the official motto of the SA and the National Socialist Motor Corps, and was engraved on their daggers. It demanded total sacrifice and devotion to the Nazi cause above all personal interests. From the 1920s onward, it was widely used in speeches and public events by figures like Hitler, Rudolf Hess and Ernst Röhm. The slogan permeated wider society, even appearing in fire departments, school books and some churches. After the war, it was also used in East Germany, but today it's illegal. Kraft, durch, Freude, strength through joy, was both a slogan and the name of the Nazi state-run leisure organization within the German Labor Front. It aimed to control workers' free time and link relaxation to productivity and loyalty to the state. The organization offered cheap package holidays, cruises, sports and cultural events to win support and reduce class divisions. It promoted the idea that enjoyment and rest would increase strength, improve public health and create a more efficient and war-ready population. At the same time, it suppressed alternative influences like trade unions and ensured leisure activities aligned with Nazi ideology. It became one of the regime's largest tools for social control and propaganda. Arbeit, adelt, work ennobles, was the official motto of the Reich Labor Service, engraved on the blades of the RAD officers' daggers. The slogan appeared on posters, uniforms and tools, glorifying compulsory labor as a supposedly noble character-building duty to the German people and helping militarize and discipline the workforce. Introduced with compulsory service in 1935, young men had to serve 6 months in the RAD doing tasks like road building and land work. The slogan elevated labor as self-sacrifice for the state, promoted unity over class division, and presented work as a form of social refinement. But it also masked harsh, controlled conditions and helped prepare youth for military service. Heim ins Reich, back home into the Reich, was a key slogan used to justify expansion and the creation of a greater German Reich, especially popular before the 1938 reunion with Austria. It aimed to bring ethnic Germans living outside Germany, like in Austria, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Yugoslavia and the western districts of Poland, into the Reich, or relocate them into the home territories of their fathers. The slogan framed annexations as a return home, helping legitimize claims over regions such as the Sudetenland, Danzig or the ceded Memel region. Beyond propaganda, it supported forced resettlement policies, moving ethnic Germans while displacing local populations. Enabled by agreements like the Nazi-Soviet Pact, it became a central tool for demographic control. Gemeinnutz geht vor Eigennutz. The common good before self-interest was a core slogan part of the NSDAP's 1920 program. It demanded that individuals submit completely to the racially defined people's community. The phrase was used to oppose individualism, capitalism, and what Nazis labeled as selfish or Jewish materialistic interests. The common good referred to the people's community, placing its needs above materialistic self-interest. It was widely used in propaganda to encourage solidarity and sacrifice, including campaigns like annual charity drives or public stew eating to help impoverished Germans. Economically, it justified policies like the seizure of Jewish businesses and forced alignment of cooperatives under state control. It was printed on countless posters, stamps, and even on Reichsmark coins. Du bist nichts, dein Volk ist alles. You are nothing, your people are everything, was a core Nazi slogan emphasizing that the individual is nothing without his people. It promoted a unified, harmonious national community without class conflict. The slogan promoted collective identity, arguing that personal happiness comes through being part of the community. It framed unity as strength, in the sense of what's good for the community will eventually be good for the individual. Some say it was a version of the ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country rallying cry to action. It was widely used on posters, badges, decorated school walls, textbooks, and in speeches. Mehr sein als scheinen, be more than you appear to be, was used as an educational principle in Nazi boarding schools and SS Junker schools, displayed in classrooms and engraved on student daggers. The slogan called for inner commitment over outward appearance, pushing students to fully embody Nazi ideology rather than just conform. It promoted discipline, duty, strength of character, loyalty, and a sense of elite identity, preparing young men for leadership roles. The phrase itself came from earlier Prussian military tradition, often linked to figures like Helmut von Moltke or Alfred von Schlieffen, but was repurposed by the Nazis for ideological training.